Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peter Sparanese, City Manager for the City of Abbotsford, and welcome. Mayor Henry Braun will be providing you with an update today regarding the state of emergency, some of the repair works that have been completed to date, and as well as an update on our emergency orders, including his meeting with the Prime Minister. I ask that you hold your questions until he has completed his remarks today, and staff will be on hand with the microphone as we'd like to capture your questions as part of our briefing for today. So please ensure you speak loudly into the mic. Thank you, and over to our Mayor, Henry Braun.
Thank you, Peter, and good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are located on the traditional territories of the Semith, Matsqui, and Lecomal First Peoples. I'm Henry Braun, the Mayor of the City of Abbotsford. And with me today is our City Manager, Peter Sparanese. Conditions continue to remain stable across the flood zone yesterday with the Barrowtown Pump Station fully operational. Overnight, we saw floodwater levels drop in the Sumas Prairie lake bottom by 9 inches in 24 hours. That may not be the case for today into tomorrow. As you know, we remain extremely concerned about the coming weather events and the impact they will have on our flood situation. The rain started this morning here in Abbotsford, and we are expecting to receive up to 120 millimeters by tomorrow morning. Earlier today, I met with Whatcom County officials to discuss the latest conditions and projections for the upcoming weather events. Based on information they received from the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, they expect the Nooksack River to reach a moderate flood stage tomorrow. They also shared that the Nooksack River has experienced significant damage and sediment buildup. This makes it challenging to predict the magnitude of the floodwaters into Abbotsford in the coming days. While the National Guard is supporting sandbagging in Whatcom County, floodwaters from the Nooksack River are anticipated to cross into the west side of Sumas Prairie near Huntington Village tomorrow. The Huntington area remains on evacuation alert, which means residents need to be prepared to leave on short notice. Prior to an evacuation order being issued, we will be doing our very best to provide residents with as much advance notice as possible. However, residents still need to be prepared to leave immediately, as we may only receive limited notice due to changing conditions. I am imploring everyone located within an evacuation alert area to get themselves ready and prepared with transportation and essential items such as government issued ID, medications, eyeglasses, valuable papers, immediate care needs for dependents and keepsakes. Planning now is imperative and will provide you with the best options in an emergency situation. The Canadian Armed Forces are currently supporting and sandbagging along the southern rail line in Huntington Village to protect this area. We expect this work to be completed by 2 p.m., which is now. If you live in Huntington area and would like sandbagging support for your homes, go to Huntington Park, where Canadian Armed Forces personnel are available to provide sandbags and assistance. I also want to remind everyone that Sumas Prairie remains under an evacuation order. Sandbagging support is also being coordinated for the Ministry of Agriculture identified farms that are currently located within the evacuated area of Sumas Prairie, including the village of Arnold. Sandbagging and clearing of the creek sediment within Claiborne Village is ongoing, with critical areas already complete. Sandbags are also available to the residents of Abbotsford at Albert Dike Park, which should they wish to use them around their home. As of today, the repairs to the dike near Atkinson Road are 95% complete. We are 30% complete with raising the dike by a half a meter over that 6 or 7 kilometer stretch southwest of Barrowtown Pump Station. Due to the high level of risk we are still facing, we are not anticipating to lift any of the current evacuation orders before the middle of next week. I know this is a difficult time for everyone impacted by this situation. Please know we are focused on your safety and we will continue to update you as we can. Yesterday I met with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Deputy Premier Mike Farnworth and other government officials and First Nation leaders and discussed with them the flooding event and the immediate and long-term impacts this will have on our community and in particular our farmers. And by farmers I mean all kinds, beef, chicken, vegetables, blueberries, etc., etc. I also impressed upon them the importance of supporting our critical diking and drainage infrastructure, including the Barrowtown Pump Station and our dikes. If we are not supported and the Barrowtown Pump Station fails, we expect there will be 8 feet or more of water over Trans-Canada Highway 1 for months, which could result in a critical transportation route for residences, goods, and services for the Lower Mainland and BC being out of commission for up to a year. It is vital that we have the support of the federal government today as well as in the future. The Canadian Armed Forces have brought us much needed support, and I ask the Prime Minister that they be able to remain in Abbotsford as they are essential for our sandbagging efforts and dike inspections with the upcoming weather events. Prime Minister Trudeau was very clear with me, and he wants all Abbotsford residents to know that he and his government are here to support us with whatever we need and that we are not in this alone. Last night, Premier John Horrigan shared in his speech that diking systems cannot be solely the responsibility of municipalities. Municipalities simply don't have the level of funding required to make these types of investments. Dikes, like highways, are essential components of local infrastructure systems that significantly support multiple communities. These therefore require oversight and support by senior levels of government. I was grateful to hear that Premier Horrigan understands this, and I'm hopeful that we will see future support for our critical infrastructure. We will continue to keep you informed of changes and updates in the water levels in Abbotsford through our daily updates as well as on our city website and social media channels. That is my update for you today, and I will now take any questions.
How confident are you
That the dike will hold? Well, we have done everything we can in a very short period of time, and we could not have done that without the support of our federal and provincial governments. Now the unknown factor is how much water is going to come south of the border. The rain we can handle. I'm pretty confident of that. What we can't handle if the Nooksack overflows and starts emptying again into Sumas Prairie. So I am confident, but I would tell everyone that's listening to this to check our website. We will post things as they change and hope for the best.
I mean, based on the projections that you have, you feel pretty secure?
I do as much as I can be secure. We are dealing with imperfect information, and we only know what we don't know.
One other question for a colleague. The province was warned years ago the dike was insufficient. Are the recent repairs what was recommended, or are the recent repairs what was recommended back in 2015? If the current dike was in place November 14th, would it have been able to hold back the floodwaters?
Well, that's a hypothetical question that I don't have an answer for. One of the things in that dike report was that our dikes were too low. That's not just peculiar to Abbotsford, that's many other jurisdictions. But that is that piece that was too low is that 6 to 7 kilometers that EMBC authorized us to raise by a half a meter. And so our dikes now are all at 7.1 meters in Sumas Prairie. We've never had that much capacity, so even if it's a little bit more, it'll handle it. But if the Nooksack floods, and that is unknown, and part of the unknown for them in our discussion or meeting this morning is think of it as an ice cube tray. All of those fields are the little pieces of the ice cube tray. Those fields have filled up, and then it goes into the next field, and then the next field. What they don't know and what we don't know is how much water is in all of those fields between Everson and here, which is a distance of 8 miles. And that is where the prediction, the modeling can be from here to here. And quite frankly, we don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to watch that Nooksack like a hawk. Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you. How stressful is this for municipalities to have to be overseers of these infrastructures, like the Dike? You mentioned you're wanting more involvement and support from federal governments moving forward. What sort of action would you really like to see? Because like you mentioned, it's not just your municipality, it's COCO and other areas that are also dealing with Dike issues and infrastructure issues. So paint us a picture as to how this responsibility for this infrastructure is very stressful for each individual municipality. Maybe there needs to be a blanket system across federally for better infrastructure moving forward.
Well, that is a very good question. But I don't think now is the time to have those discussions, and there will be many of them. I am assured of that already by senior levels of government. We are still laser focused on a flood event that we are still in. That lake is still out there. It's probably 4 kilometers in diameter and deep. And so I haven't raised any of that. With the Premier or the Prime Minister, those are discussions that will have to be had. But I was very pleased with what I heard yesterday in Premier Horrigan's comments after they met. And I'm sure they talked about things that I know they talked about things I'm not aware of. So, but that's a very good question and something we need to deal with.
Sir, one last question is Sumas City, the mayor of Sumas City, we spoke to them earlier this morning. Have you been in talks with the mayor of Sumas City, and what sort of things are you both concerned about?
Well, I think I've been in contact with him twice. I reached out first just to see how he was doing and how his city was doing, because we are fortunate as the 5th largest city in British Columbia by population that we have significant resources ourselves. Sumas City, I think, is a population of 15 or 1,600 people. They don't have that kind of infrastructure. So we have helped them in the past, in the 2020 flood and probably 1990, although I was in the private sector in my own business and wasn't intimately involved in that. So he's under stress just like we all are. There's a lot of unknowns that we don't have answers for, but I'm sure he's preparing his community right now too, because he has the same information I have.
We spoke briefly about this before the press conference, but we're just getting, or continuously getting, some tips that the village of Arnold is in danger of having its dike breached. Have you heard that? I mean, we've even gotten tips that people are heading with a dump truck hauling sand right now. Have you heard that? And how fluid is the situation
I
related to
haven't
that?
heard that. I've been in Arnold a couple of times over the last 3 or 4 days. I didn't see any. They're actually in recovery mode over there, taking out the damaged, whatever, the gyprock, mattresses and couches and stuff. They were unloading that already 2 days ago, so I'm not aware of that. So I think we also need to be really careful. There's a lot of experts on social media who are sharing information that actually isn't accurate, and it's very hard to deal with because people are phoning me and telling me this, that, and the other thing. Our pumps failed. No, they didn't fail. They've never failed at Barrowtown. And so if people want accurate information, they should contact our website. All of the information is listed there about contacts and everything else, and listen to our updates. And we've got intel coming from all over the city. There's hundreds and hundreds of people and the Army out there. The Army is actually in Arnold. If that was true, I would have heard about it by now. But I appreciate the question.
We saw the Army sandbagging earlier today, but you said those efforts, aren't really going to stop the flow as much as is needed. What else needs to be done? What else can be done there?
Well, the sandbagging that's taking place in Huntington is not to stop the flow. That is to protect Huntington. We had a little bit of water on the eastern side. We just are trying to keep those houses dry. That's what that sandbagging. And it doesn't have to be very high, because the water will be diverted to the northeast. What people should know, because I've heard all sorts of things about 18-foot or dikes on the border. In order for us to stop the Nooksack, we would have to build a dike that is 18 feet high on that border. I don't see that happening. Anyone else? Appears not. Thank you, and we'll have the next briefing at 2 p.m. unless condition changes or change, and then we might be doing it earlier. But we'll keep in contact with you. Thank you.